Seconds out, Eddie Hearn. How are you, sir? How's things?
Absolutely fantastic. How are you?
All good. Obviously, DAZN 5-year deal. Fights like Boots, Ennis, and Virgil Ortiz are the fights that they probably want to see. Tell me the latest with that. What's going on with that?
I can't really give you a complete answer on that. I know that Virgil has, I believe, is issues to come to a head with Golden Boy. I think on Friday. We want to make the fight. We don't really mind how it's made, but we will do it within the rules. But I think on Friday we'll get a much clearer picture of what's possible. As I've said before, and I'll say it again, Boots and Virgil are the number one, number two 154 pounders in the world. I mean, Josh Kelly might not be too happy, but he's right on their tails. And it's time to find out who the best is. And for me, that's the best fight in boxing. So I hope we can find a way somehow to keep everybody happy and get it over the line.
Has Matchroom offered Virgil a sort of contract? There's rumours of a 3-fight contract maybe that you've offered. Is there anything that you could tell us in regards to that?
No, because we have to wait for the decision to unfold. And, there's been conversations. I mean, look, Rick Mirrigan is obviously the manager and you got the lawyer there there've been conversations with a number of people, not just Matchroom. I mean, Virgil Ortiz is one of the best fighters in the world. So there's a lot of promoters that have been trying to sign him. Our focus is on trying to make the fight and a great fight between those two guys. I've been trying to make this fight for 4 or 5 months. And I'll be really pissed off and gutted if we don't get it over the line. And if we do get it over the line, I'll be over the moon. And I believe the boxing fans will be over the moon. And again, we'll do everything we can within the realms of our powers to make that fight. And hopefully we can do it with everybody happy to move forward.
Eddie, I've heard a rumour that apparently the IBF will not be sanctioning of Jai Pattaya versus Brandon Glanton. If that is the case and Jai's stripped, how bad would that be for kind of Zuffa boxing and the signing of Jai?
I think this is a really pivotal moment for the sport, that fight. And I find it fascinating what's going to happen. You see, there will now be the Zuffa belt on the line, right? So that gives the opportunity for a governing body to say, no, we're not co-sanctioning our fight with another world championship body that actually isn't even recognised. Or what might be the problem is the IBF are saying, Zuffa are saying to the IBF, you're not welcome, right? Jai will pay your fees, but you won't be in the ring. We won't be having a supervisor. We won't be paying your hotels. We won't be paying any sanction fees. We won't. And by the way, if I'm the IBF, I turn around because this is the moment, right? We shouldn't fuck around with this because they're going to fuck you. Zuffa are going to fuck you. Mauricio Suleiman, Daryl Peoples, Gilberto Mendoza, they don't want you anywhere near what they're doing. So whether they fuck you now or they fuck you in 6 months' time, they're going to fuck you. So let's just get it out of the way now. Do you know what I mean? So if I'm the IBF, I'm writing to Zuffa and I'm saying, right, Jai Pattaya is fighting for our belt. Just want to understand, this is the sanction request. This is a contract that you have to sign as the promoter. We will be there with our belt, in the ring. Because we went through this process before. Do you remember with PBC? When they started, we don't want any belts. We don't want any belts. And they stopped the governing bodies from getting in the ring. So let's just let it unfold now. Let's just be honest. So, because when you ask Dana White in the interviews, he goes, we're having governing body, we're going to have a championship, but they don't really, ultimately, they don't want the governing bodies. So they should just let it out now. But, or they should embrace them.
Where would that leave kind of Jai's relationship with Zuffa and Tasman fighters? Because Tasman was saying that they've signed to Zuffa to become undisputed as well.
But it's all a load of bollocks. I mean, you get made offers that are just full of shit. So you sit down, Jai, what we're going to do is, we're going to, you can keep your belt, and but they don't tell you how you can keep your belt. So you can keep your belt, but we won't let the IBF in the ring. We won't give them any respect. We won't let them, all these different things. And then therefore, the IBF could turn around and go, well, we're not having the belt on the line. That's a pivotal moment. That moment right there is where it goes like that immediately. At the moment, it's just how long before it goes like that. This could make it go like that now. But if I'm Zuffa and I'm Dana, I'm just getting on with it. Because that's the vision. Do you know what I mean? is they don't want these other belts. They want their own control. They want to do what they want to do, not what a governing body tells them. And I understand that, but they can't. They're like I know he says that I work for my dad and all this kind of stuff, but they're spoilt because they don't want to compete. Really, they don't. Oh, we're not dealing with the governing bodies. Fuck the governing bodies. We're the governing bodies. But really, we deal with the governing bodies every day, and it's a fucking. I understand because it's a pain in the arse, but it's just what we do because that's boxing.
Are you surprised at some of the comments that Dana has made about it?
Yeah, I mean, normally it takes a good few years to someone to be that fucked that they come out with, he works for his dad. Do you know what I mean? So that's like, what are we, like a month in? I mean, Dana's always been quite up my arse, really, when it comes to giving me compliments about being a boxing promoter. I mean, when he says we don't have any vision, I mean, I look around here, I'm looking at Ben Eubank here, 70,000 twice. I'm looking at Crawford Madrimov in LA. I'm looking at Canelo against Billy Joe Saunders, breaking the record for the biggest indoor crowd ever in boxing. Joshua Ruiz won down there where we entered Saudi Arabia for the first ever time for the World Heavyweight Championship. Katie Taylor against Amanda Serrano, selling out MSG for the first time ever for a female fight. I mean, it's just like, it's endless. It's endless history that we've created. So, I was surprised that he said that we lack vision, because at the moment, what vision is Zuffa showing? What it's showing is 4 or 5 fights in, Max Kellerman telling you that that guy, I can't remember his name, nice kid, the Irish kid, is the next Roy Jones, and Charles Martin is headlining on a Sunday night in front of 126 people in a garage, in a ring that looks like it's been used for the club show that was there last night. What vision's that? In fact, that lacks so much vision. I think what these people try and do is they kind of try and manipulate the fight fans, but where they're massively underestimating is fight fans are very smart. I know, because I've had run-ins with them for decades. They're not idiots. You can't just put on a random fight and go and have Max Kellerman on the voiceover going, this really is the best v the best. It's like, no, it's not, Max. It's some random fights that sometimes are entertaining, and don't get me wrong, but like if I put on Charles Martin on a headline fight on a Sunday, you guys, no, some of you are more pleasant than others, would rip me a new arsehole, right? But in that world, maybe you can actually convince people that the Zuffa belt is the big belt for boxing. Not on my watch. Not interested. These people are going to be dangerous. They're going to sign some big names, no doubt. Like we said, they may get some of our fighters. But long term, all they really want is control. And when he says I work for my dad, I do work for my dad. But he's worked for his dad for many years. The first set was the Fertitta brothers. They were his dad. Now he's got a new pappy. And the new pappy is Turki Al-Sheikh. So really, Turkey is Dana's daddy. And he has got to do what he's told. He ain't his own boss.
What does Turkey make of all of this? Because obviously you've got a relationship with Turkey Al-Sheikh.
I would think Turkey is watching those shows going, this is a pile of shit. That's what I would think. Because Turki Al-Sheikh expects the best. He expects the best matchup. He expects the best production. He expects the big crowds. He expects the great press conferences and the weigh-ins and the anticipation and the spinning of a narrative and a storyline, which none of this have. They do the weigh-in in some random back room with Tom Loeffler in the middle, who I love, and then they do a show with about 100 people, half empty, with absolutely zero atmosphere. And like I said, Max Kellerman literally talking the biggest load of bollocks I've ever heard in my life.
But you guys were pals though. You and Dana White were like, in COVID time, you were rolling back together.
I have no problem. This is why I'm surprised. Because as I said, it normally takes someone a good few years to be that battered into submission that you start getting personal and saying, well, he works for his dad. It's like, mate, do you realise how And what did he say about bashing babies or something? What the fuck? The geezer's lost the plot already. He's only done 4 shows. Do you know what I mean? But when you compare Matchroom shows right now, my advice to Dana White is watch Wood Warrington on Saturday, watch Nunes Navarrete next Saturday, and let me show you how it's done. Because right now, the comparison between our shows, we've got Matchroom, and what I'm seeing compared to Matchroom is dog shit. That's what I'm seeing.
Why do you think the Charles Martin fight wasn't for the Zuffa belt?
Oh, come on. I mean, you're not like what you start saying the Zuffa heavyweight world championship is Charles Martin. I mean, I love Charles Martin, by the way. He walks this planet like a god or whatever he does. But unfortunately, that was about 9 years ago, and he ain't done a lot since. But like I said, if I did Charles Martin headlining on a Sunday night in front of 100, you imagine? I went, right, tonight, guys, we've got the big one. It's Charles Martin. We've got a massive crowd of 140. And it's in a ring that looks like it's just been put up by the local handyman. And whoa, this is what we call the best v the best. And now we're going to go to a big VT about the fight. Hey guys, let me tell you that Charles Martin is on the big comeback. The once world heavyweight champion is back in an explosive heavyweight matchup. Two titans of the division up against F.A. Ajagba, who basically just got beat by Martin Bakody but gifted a draw. He's back against Charles Martin, the big punching southpaw, to put the heavyweight division back on the map. Over to you guys. Like, you lot would go to me, Eddie, have a day off. This is absolute wank, right? But there's few people going, oh, you're amazing. This is amazing. This is the future of boxing. And by the way, it will get a lot better. But at the moment, let's call it what it is. Shit.
Jaya Pattaya said that Zuffa don't put on bullshit fights. After
Really?
that reaction, what do you make of
So
that?
what do you think about Jaya Pattaya against Brandon Glanton, who got 109, 108'd by Chris Billam-Smith? Right? I mean, we signed Jaya Pattaya, and Jaya Pattaya signed with Zuffa because he wants the unification matchups. This is the road to undisputed. Oh, and by the way, you're having another voluntary defence against a bloke that Chris Billam-Smith won every round against. Oh, and by the way, the IBF probably aren't going to sanction it, so you're going to get stripped as a world champion, which means you'll never be able to unify or become undisputed. Good luck, son. But don't worry, you get a free tracksuit, so everything's sweet.
John Fury, Carl Froch. Where does it go for you? Where do you put your money on?
I would never back against Carl Froch on the cobbles. Ever. But John Fury's a big old lump. There'll be some illegal moves in there. Do you know what I mean? But if they ever get close, Carl will be swinging. Do you know what I mean? So,
just on a more serious one, Anthony Joshua.
serious?
No. But give me the latest one. Obviously, a lot of fight fans want to know just generally how is he, and maybe not in the boxing decision, but how he's doing right now.
Look, I think physically he's still recovering. You know, I think emotionally and mentally, I think he'll be recovering for a long time. I don't think it's something you get over maybe ever, and you've got to use the fact that you don't get over it to try and remember those guys positively. If you follow him on his Snapchat, you see him post those guys all day, every day, and that's because he remembers them, and that's because he's still hurting, no doubt. So, look, we had a plan to fight in March and then fight Tyson Fury. Obviously, that's not happening now. We won't be fighting Tyson Fury next. If and when he does fight, he'll return maybe late summer. And then maybe the Fury fight, something we look at for 2027 or at the end of 2026, I don't know. But there hasn't really been a lot of conversations about who we fight and when we fight, more about when we return to training camp. Because AJ loves to train, he loves being in training camp, and it's probably quite frustrating at the moment that he can't return to training camp because he's not physically ready to return to training camp. So he's training every day. He's just been in Oman, some big project that he's working on. He's got, more sponsors than any athlete I think we've ever seen. So he's got a lot of obligations, and he hopes. I think there's nothing more than he would like than to return to training camp. Not even to fight, but just to return to training camp, because that's what he loves to do. So hopefully, whether that's weeks or months, hopefully that will come, and we can start having conversations about if and when he might fight again. Right, boys? Girls?
Cheers, Eddie.
See you in Austin.